Hey guys, Harry Duffy with the Hot Brush Troll. So I'm out here today working on this chipper we just got at picked up at auction, sight unseen. It is a 2011 Altec DC 1317, I believe it is. So it's a 13-inch disc chipper. We bought it at auction, sight unseen. It's got a Kubota diesel in it. I got a trickle charger on it, just charging battery up. I got a couple hours because kids are inside napping. Pretty nice day out, beautiful day out today actually, so figured I'd come out and tinker on it for a little bit, but I'll kind of do a walk around. Like I said, Kubota diesel. Looks like somebody's done the fuel filters, oil filter in it. Not here recently, but 2011 or 2021. I'm sorry, I misspoke. This is a Altec DC 1317. I think I said 1319 before. So, I mean, it's got some rust. I will probably cut this box off. It's completely rusted out. No use to having that. I think this thing, I'm going to just end up getting it running, make sure it chips, and probably sell it. Got to do some wiring on some lights, not a big deal, but got to get it running first. So I'll show you the back. This is always a good sign. I love seeing brush and stuff in here because to me that indicates that they were using it and everything was working on it. They were still putting material into it, and yeah, then they just decided to sell it. So that's one of the things I always kind of look for. Tires are real good on it. They are actually almost new. Like I said, 13-inch disc chipper. I mean, it's got its rust. I think it's originally from Pennsylvania. But looks like somebody put an alternator on it, maybe a starter on it. Yeah, this make a excellent entry-level chipper for some tree service company that's really just starting out. Instead of spending $60,000-$70,000 on a brand new chipper, you know, you could buy something like this for a reasonable price and pay cash out for it instead of having a payment over your head and everything. So I'll kind of get you guys set up and show you what I found. I actually found something already, but I'll show you here in a minute. In the description from the auction, it said needs an ignition switch. So obviously, I mean, we got up there and picked it up. I try the ignition, nothing happens, no lights, anything like that. So first thing I do is hook a battery tender up to it, make sure battery's good. They actually just replaced battery in it. That's from 2022. So it's got a good battery in it. It just needs charged up. So I got my tender hooked to it. So here's the ignition switch. Nothing. I get my little test light. So an ignition switch needs power going to it, obviously. So I literally just go to each one of these lugs and see if my light lights up, which it doesn't. So I'm looking at this as the main big power feed. I start tugging. First off, I see this low green, which is never good. I stick my, show you guys real quick. So this is what I did. I stick my test light behind this and lights up. I stick my test light behind it, nothing happens. While I'm doing that, this literally just falls apart. I don't know if you guys can see that, but completely corroded off. These cheap butt connectors are terrible, especially for outside use. There's no reason you should use them outside. You should always have a shrink wrap on there. So I am going to repair this real quick and see what we got. It might turn over, might fire right up. So I'll get you guys set up so you can kind of watch me work in here for a little bit, and then we'll see if we can get this thing running. All right guys, so these are the ones I like. You actually take a little heat gun and you shrink wrap this after you crimp it on, and it shrinks around there. Any sort of commercial application like this, I mean, there's no reason not to use this. So yeah, we'll get it cleaned up. Alright, before I heat shrink that and stuff and just make it permanent, I'll let's see if we got anything here. Oh, I see lights. Saw them for a minute. I saw the hours right here. Wonder. Jeez. Alright guys, so I'm going to clean these battery terminals real good on this chipper. I'll just kind of walk you through how I do it. Alright, so here's your battery terminal. Any sort of corrosion in there is going to cause you problems. Wire brush, any sort of terminal cleaner. Try not to breathe this dust in. This corrosion and battery acid and everything else, really not good for you. Looks halfway decent. Alright, so I'm gonna let that cool down for a minute. I'll just throw a new nut on there and clean up the terminals and probably slap it back together. I'm not 100% sure what this little guy goes to that's attached on there, but it needs cleaned up too. When we come back, I'll show you guys my what I have found the best way to clean this sort of green corrosion and all that stuff off these terminals. So yeah, stay tuned. Alright guys, so this is the quickest, easiest way to clean battery terminals. Boil some water, dump it on it. Do not let your wife see this. She found me. Alright. If you have a bunch of corrosion stuff on here, really gets it off. These terminals were not terrible. I mean, usually you'll see them with big old fuzz balls on them and everything like that, but yeah, this is more just rust. But if they got a big old fuzz ball, bunch of battery acid and stuff on there, you can pour hot water, boiling water on it, and it'll clean it right up. So some people also use baking soda. Baking soda neutralizes the battery acid, and that also cleans it up pretty good, but I just use hot water. All right, guys, so I got the Super Duty out here, hook it up to it. I don't believe the battery is charged up enough to really give me anything, but now you can see I got lights up here, voltage gauge is moving. The hours are showing. I don't know if you can see that. It only says 70 hours. I think that's not accurate. So I'm gonna let this charge up for a bit. I'm kind of going to go over it, check the fluids real quick, make sure it's got oil in it, make sure it has a little bit of coolant in it. If I do run it, I'm not going to run it long. Got some hillbilly, looks like electrical tape and zip ties holding the throttle on, so this thing's going to need a little bit of work. All right, so it's got cleanish oil. It's got some oil in it. It's got some coolant in it. It has some fuel in the fuel tank, but I can't really see how much, so I'm a little bit suspect of that. Also, just kind of a side note, I'm always super suspect of these inline fuel filters. People love putting these on for some reason, and those things always clog up. So if you're not getting fuel and you got one of these on it, that would be my first go. Also, I was noticing, so these filters, fuel filter, oil filter, it does say, it's got the data on there, 11/14/2021, so that wasn't too long ago, but it does have 14 hours written on there. So I'm really curious if this thing actually has that low hours, and maybe it was just sitting outside, I don't know, maybe beside a salt dump or something like that, you know. I mean, there's most definitely some corrosion on here, but yeah, I'm really curious to see how it'll run, if it'll run. Let's go ahead and give it a go. Let's see. Cables are on there. Something happened. Something's trying to happen. Not gonna lie, I don't know if this is supposed to be there, which way it's supposed to go. Oh, here we go, dumbass. All right, clutch engagement, forward. So this is unengaged. Let's try that. It's getting fuel. You saw white smoke spitting out of there. See what we got? Nothing. Nothing. So I found the signal wire over here, just kind of popped off. All of these connections are going to need, I'm going to take all of these apart once I get it going and just clean everything so it's a reliable machine, you know. All of these connections are just in need of some TLC for sure. really good. Not showing any oil pressure though. Yeah, before I run it too long, I'll probably look into that oil pressure. I'm sure, just by the way it sounds, I mean, that thing is purring. No knocking or crazy noises or anything. It's probably just the actual gauge, or maybe a oil pressure sensor or something like that, but I'll check into it. I really want to see if the clutch engages and all that stuff, but I'll probably hold off. So all these gauges have these little red and black wires going to, I'm assuming that's the backlight. So this oil pressure gauge has a blue wire going to it, so let's say that's the oil pressure switch. And I'm assuming it's just direct feed to that gauge. So let's see if we can kind of track that down and find an oil pressure switch on this motor. Most likely it's screwed into the block somewhere. Looks like it goes over to this side, through this. Hey, I think this big old goofy thing is the oil pressure switch. Wow, I've never seen one like that. That's interesting. Looks like somebody's just adapters on top of adapters on this thing. So, oh man, might have to look into maybe a circuitry test for this, or a component test, see if it has the right amount of resistance in it. Yeah, I'm not super concerned with let's fire back up. How about that? Let's fire back up. It's got to have oil pressure, like I said, or else it wouldn't be wouldn't sound that good. So let's see, where can I put you guys? How about right here? Man, that thing sounds great. Got a little bit of a belt squealing, but real quick, I'll go over all the grease fittings, at least I saw on it. I'm sure I'm missing a couple, but one right here, one right there. That's for your clutch. Where to go? One right here for your main bearing for your disc. There's actually one right here, and then on the other side of this for this pivoting point. This bearing has a grease fitting right here. There's two right here, one down here, same thing on this side. The lower bearing has one, upper bearing has one, then there's grease fitting right here. And I don't know if you guys can see right there. to grease the inner disc bearing, main disc bearing. It's actually a grease fitting right here. And then there's a small little tube that goes all the way back there. Like I said, another grease fitting right there. And those are all the ones that I saw. I'm sure there might be one on the maybe the leaf springs or the hub down there, but I'm a little bit excited to try the disc out, see if it works like it should. Everything works. Here in a little bit I'll try and get you guys set up and maybe have some test branches or something like that I can throw in there, and we can see if it runs and chips.